Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the reaction log. Whoa. So we got a special spicy one here for you. It's about Segovia. Was he a bad teacher? Posted by Tonebase. And you know what? We've watched some Tonebase videos before, which, by the way, for this one, I'm gonna link the video. Guys, go and watch the actual video on Tonebase, because I was looking at, actually, hold on, I'm like all over the place right now. Tonebase. This is just a freaking tragedy right here. Why is Tonebase piano way more popular than Tonebase guitar? Can we get something on that, please? I know I'm small fry over here with my, like, how many subscribers do I have? Post in the comments, what is that right now? But I don't know, I mean, this is just, like, effed up, you know? Tonebase piano. Ew, ugh. Sounds like a MIDI file. Hey, I do like Rachmaninoff. Rachmaninoff really wastes his potential on piano. He should play guitar. We've watched a few Tonebase videos in the past. I've heard them talk about Segovia before, and it's very like, yeah, he's very authoritarian, all that stuff. Sometimes we need a person like that, an authority figure in our life, to make us into something great. So, you know where I stand on this. But let's just go ahead and react to this video, see what they got. Ooh, before we do that, let's look at some of these comments. Josh Dirkstreffel, friend of the channel. What's up, man? I see you commenting. I teach guitar professionally for 38 years. I didn't know you were a guitar teacher. That's cool. So am I. Hey, if you want some guitar lessons, classical guitar lessons, sign up with me. Email in the description, am I right? Lootman. Hey, what's up, Lootman? Another friend of the channel. Segovia is a performer, not a teacher. That doesn't mean you can't learn from Segovia, but you can't learn much. Freaking savage Lootman over here. Anybody else that I recognize? Canadian. What's up, Canadian Divergent? Hey, man. And you know what? The general consensus of this comment section is that Segovia is a bad teacher. Hey, it's Michael, I called him Chap Delaney in the video I made a while ago. I know that's not how his name is pronounced. I think it's like Chapeldane, or Chipple, I don't know, well, let's see.
The year was 1980. Meet Michael Chapdelaine.
Chapdelaine, okay. I'll remember that.
Who was one of just 12 guitarists picked for a masterclass with the legendary Andrés Segovia. Became one of classical guitar's favorite stories. In Segovia's world, there was one simple rule: play his music, play it his way. But Chapdelaine decided to ignore Segovia's fingerings that day. You can guess how that went.
One moment. You give me this. Is the transcription, my transcription. But you are modify all the fingering. Why?
Decisions I made.
Yeah, just decisions. Because the fingering sucked. They were fingered by some idiot, that's why. Had to change them all. Welcome to my masterclass now, Segovia. Let me give you a masterclass on how to finger a freaking score correctly. That was the point of my video that I made. That was like, yeah, like, you can go to other people's masterclasses. Like, other people were doing guitar masterclasses. But we're talking about the guy whose music was composed for him, and it's like his edition that he fingered. It's a little weird going into his masterclass and just straight up changing the fingerings. I get calling Segovia an authoritarian for this sort of thing, but I just feel he's in a very unique spot, having it be his music that was composed for him and like his edition that he published to show like how it should be played.
Play my transcription. Otherwise, go to another person that made better capricho than I. Fuera.
Why are you looking for my advice? You already clearly aren't taking my advice from the beginning. So I don't know, it just seems strange to me. And I say that. Probably what actually happened, I would assume that this is actually how it happened. Like, I think Chapdelaine, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna call him Chap Delaney. I think I remember in that interview, he said that he's been working on that music for like a year, and, you know, he wasn't preparing to go to that Segovia masterclass like all year. He was probably just learning the music just because he likes playing guitar, like we all do. And who doesn't just ignore fingering sometimes? Because you're just reading an edition, and sometimes I'm reading stuff in these fingerings, it's just like, screw you. We're like, what freaking idiot fingered this score? Use 3 and 4 for this, and you're just like, how? Like, what, like, am I playing the same instrument as you? Like, what is this? There's some fingerings that are just insane. Like, maybe I don't understand. It has to be that I don't understand what's going on, because there's no way that somebody who dedicated so much of their life to guitar that they're publishing, they're just like getting it wrong, and just, I don't, because I feel like I get it. But then I read some of these fingerings. I don't have any examples of them now, but I've seen some wacky ones, and it's like, who is playing this thing like this? So, you know, he probably just did that, and then like he signed up for this masterclass, and it's like, oh, it's in 3 weeks. I can't change anything. Are you kidding me? I've been working on this for a year. It's all like muscle memory in. You want me to make changes right now before I play in a televised masterclass with like the most famous classical guitarist? Heck no. I'm not changing a thing. So I assume that that's actually what happened. But you know, it's fun to imagine that he just came in there all arrogant, just like, yeah, I changed your stupid fingerings, dummy. You dumb bitch. That's like what he actually did. All right. Get out of here. Go back to your freaking guitar loser life.
We
While Segovia enjoys his guitar loser life too, because we're all guitar losers.
these.
Hey, another guitar loser. Hey, look at the comment section. A bunch of other guitar losers. Wow. Welcome to the lifestyle. It's fun. Go ahead and grab a 6-pack from your fridge. Just set that sucker next to you and just waste your life away. All right, let's keep going.
Tales of the demanding genius, the keeper of tradition. They're almost comforting. Even Chapdelaine himself later spoke of the experience with reverence. But I think these aren't just quirky stories from the past. These masterclass videos, with their unwavering certainty and authoritarian approach, shape how countless guitarists think about teaching and learning.
Woo, yeah, authoritarian teaching, am I right? I make jokes like I'll only teach you classical and that's like it, and just like listen to your teacher and don't ever question them. Like obviously there's wiggle room in that once you're actually in the lesson. You should listen to the goals of your student and help them and guide them to where they want to go.
It's how many teachers since then have channeled that same rigid certainty, thinking they're honoring some sacred traditions. Are the best players really the best teachers? Segovia and his peers weren't just being difficult.
Let's examine the hand posture of this painting here. Who painted this? A painter and not a guitarist? This is the equivalent of when you see cartoons, when they're like playing guitar in a cartoon, and it's like, what is their hand doing? I feel like I'm watching Phineas and Ferb right now.
They saw themselves on a crusade, saving the guitar from being just an irrelevant parlor instrument.
And thank God we did. Just another irrelevant parlor instrument. Classical guitar almost became what steel string guitar is today, and could you imagine that? Oh god, that'd be terrible.
Whether that was even true is another question, but they certainly believed it. Their rigid approach was armor. Back then, classical music was meant to be
Yeah, this guy looks serious, dude. That's what I'm talking about. That's a freaking classical musician right there.
hierarchical and strict. A one-sided master-apprentice relationship. To fit in, many guitarists embraced this ideal, perhaps going overboard in the process. Julian Bream's BBC masterclasses have huge...
Friend of the channel, Bream and Gerald. Hey, Bream Team stickers, guys. If you want some stickers, head on down over to Rutan's Delight. Man, I'm just like plugging stuff today, huh? I got the stickers here. Bream Team. Profiting off of a dead man. Yes. All right, let's go.
followings online.
Hey, let's don't come at me about that. Nobody has ever come at me about that, and I've like always thought that. Just like this is like Bream Team. That's a dead man. That we're making money off of that. To be fair, it's not that much money, but still. You know,
well,
it's all love. I respect Julian Bream greatly. I love his records. I feel like I've invested enough into classical guitar to do that. It's fine. I'm not just some soulless merch peddler of like random names just to see what pops off. Like I put all my eggs into classical guitar and Bream, so I feel like I'm allowed to do this.
Never lashed out like Segovia, these lessons still follow that same prescriptive approach, really.
No, that's not rhythmical. Now, what you remember what
I mean, it wasn't though. It's not rhythmical.
I said to Dan?
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, you take a big breath.
No, a big...
No. He did not say a big breath, Gerald. He said take a da 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 just for that little eighth note. Just to
No.
I feel like this sort of style of masterclass is maybe being like painted in a bad light of like stopping the student immediately. I'm kind of torn on that, to be honest, because most of the masterclasses that I've attended, which were the ones that I did in university, they weren't like that. They were like performances basically, and kind of high stakes performances, which is great for getting performance experience, but I find that it's a little difficult to actually hone in if you play like an entire sonata that's like 20 minutes long. How are you going to like meaningfully go through detailed things in that sonata after just listening to him perform? And you have to like remember everything you just heard. That's like tough, like, which obviously like people do it and you write stuff down, of course, and address it, but a part of me also doesn't mind the masterclass style of like stopping when you hear something that you want changed and getting them to change it like immediately. It's really efficient, right? Like you can cover a lot of stuff that way, and there's the added benefit to this too. It's much lower stake. Let's be honest, if you're in any masterclass, the first like few minutes of it, you're like okay, so like I have one shot to like show the best performance that I can so I can actually get some meaningful feedback. It's a lot of pressure, like especially for like newer guitarists, but you know, you get past that and you're like stopping and starting and you sort of get into a groove of stopping and start, and I find that it's easier to like show what you have when you know that you only have to play like 8 bars. It's just more comfortable for the performer. As you get more advanced, that's less important, but you know, there is something to that. Like obviously we're looking at advanced students here, so I'm kind of torn on that personally. I like both. I can see value in both.
Bream's private students and his later commentaries that his actual teaching style was far less rigid. The setting itself explains this disconnect, I think. Bream, like Segovia, understood media perfectly. With TV cameras in the room, he would have taught for the viewers, not for the student. Real teaching, of course, getting into the nitty-gritty, conducting, guiding students with embodied methods to discover solutions naturally. That wouldn't make for very compelling television. With Bream, we can somewhat excuse this, but what about Segovia? Many of his long-term students praise him both as an artist and as a teacher. But can we take this at face value? The incentive to highlight a connection to Segovia is just too valuable. Dozens of players claim to be the true heir of Segovia, because just adding that to a concert bio instantly boosts your career. Proof?
Yep, that's like adding destroys to your YouTube channel. Julian Bream destroys. Yeah, God, look at these freaking views on Segovia videos. My lord. God dang. I need to start doing that. That's why I'm making this Segovia video. This thing better get some views, maybe. That's okay. I've had enough views, honestly. It's been a crazy week. Like, I don't know how far out this video is, but I've had enough. I've had my fill for a little while. I'm very grateful for where I am right now.
Segovia was wildly successful, so everything he did must be worth copying, right? This is exactly where gratitude for his achievements becomes harmful. Even his devoted followers occasionally mention his demand for absolute stylistic obedience, and even in private lessons. Perhaps the most revealing critique comes from the student Segovia praised most highly, his prince of guitar, John Williams. Despite his massive success under Segovia's endorsement, Williams later took the extraordinary step of publicly rejecting his mentor's methods. He even called them dictatorial, saying they stifled individual expression rather than nurturing it.
I feel like that's easy to say coming from John Williams, one of the greatest guitarists to live. What can you even say about anyone's teaching methods when you are one of the pupils of the person you're criticizing and then also, like, the best? You know what I mean? And the whole thing with, like, complete stylistic obedience. I get that. But, like, how long are you taking lessons from Segovia for? Like, are we talking about, like, something that lasts decades and decades? Or is it, like, a master's degree amount of lessons that we're talking about? I feel like if I personally were taking lessons from anyone and it's, like, a few year period or, like, something that's not, like, decades and decades, like your whole life, of course, where it's, like, this long-term mentorship, I think there should be complete stylistic obedience. Like, especially if we're talking about somebody as, like, revered and famous as Segovia. Like, you want to absorb everything that they're doing. And then once you're done with them, like, carry on and then do your own thing afterwards. That's just my perspective. I might be coming at that from an ignorant point of view. I know, shocker. I know. But I mean, for example, like, I'm going for a master's degree, like, pretty soon. I'm going to just give up everything, like, for whatever teacher I have. Like, of course, unless it's, like, completely unreasonable and I, like, super disagree for whatever reason. You have to have some scrutiny, like, at this stage in the game. Like, I know what should and shouldn't be followed, but I plan on giving my, like, full undivided attention and, like, actually trying everything they're saying. And I do that even in, like, because as you guys may know, if you're following, like, right now I'm taking lessons with Brandon Aker. I'm not, like, arguing with him, like, in the lessons. Like, I'll ask questions and then I will listen to what he says and then I will, like, seriously look at every little thing he's saying. Like, I'm there to learn. I'm not there to, like, question and challenge what he's trying to teach me. He has something that I don't have and I want it. If he's giving it to me, like, I'm not gonna, like, question it. Obviously, over time, like, once you can sit with it, then that's when you can start having scrutiny and, like, cut the fat out of some things that you might not like or go harder into things that you do like. That's what I'm curious about. Like, these students that Segovia had, how long was, like, John Williams a student of Segovia? Can we look that up? Okay, this is an AI overview, mind you, but he studied with Segovia from 57 to 59. Dude, just freaking listen to him for 2 years. What do you want, man? John Williams says guitar maestro Andrés Segovia bullied students and stifled their creativity. Yeah, he's teaching them how to play guitar and they're over here trying to make rock bands and stuff. Like, Sky, what are you doing, man? My teacher was a student of Michael Chapeldane, Ike, the guy Segovia kicked out of masterclass for changing his fingerings. Funny because Segovia fingerings are indeed questionable, lol. Maybe so, but then, like, listen to them and then change them later when you're doing your own performance career. Like, what's wrong with that? I heard so many teachers about Mike. Told my teacher that masterclass changed his reputation quite a lot. What, it made him, like, okay, that's a thing too. It, like, destroyed Mike's career. I'm, like, calling him Mike now instead of Chapeldane. Chapeldane, it destroyed his career. I didn't live through that. I don't think it did, personally, because he is the only freaking student of Segovia besides John William that I can even name, or, like, any person who was, like, in their masterclass. He became ultra famous from that, in my opinion. Like, I hear about him all the time. Do you really think his career was stifled from that? Maybe in the short term for, like, a bit, but his name was known. Unless things have, like, changed recently, I'm pretty sure any sort of media attention is, like, always good, and he was known. He was a known guy, so his career was not stifled by that. He stood out. I know he died a few years ago, but I mean, let's just look at me just, like, judging his career based on his YouTube channel. But I mean, he's gotten, like, millions of views and they're him, like, playing guitar. It's not like millions of views of him being, like, humiliated on TV or anything like that. He is just so well known and famous that there's just no way he didn't have a career, and it was not stifled. It was very much enhanced by this experience. It just was. I don't know. I always hear that, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Williams' rebellion went beyond teaching methods. His musical journey, diving into rock, jazz, and world music traditions, represented everything Segovia fought against.
Segovia was like, you're learning world music? What? Western, bro. You can't go anywhere else. Dude, John Williams going into a rock band. You guys remember that? Man, I need to watch those John Williams documentaries again. Those were really fun. Same thing with the Julian Bream ones. I missed those. I feel like I missed a lot of information in them when I was watching them because I just talked over them the whole time. Maybe we should do that and I won't talk over them the whole time. Just kidding, I will.
Former star pupil, a traitor to the instrument. But Williams' experience offers us something far more valuable than just another dramatic Segovia story. It reveals an alternative path, one shaped by his first and most influential teacher, his father Len Williams. John has described how his father's approach was fundamentally different. Psychologically astute, adaptive, and centered on the...
You know, I just had... I'm not listening again, I'm sorry. I just had like a comparison in my mind made. I think Marson is the modern day John Williams, because they both started with classical, and then for whatever reason, they both just went to the complete dark side, be it steel string, rock music, and implementing classical stuff into their rock band music. Like Marson does that all the time. And like John Williams over here with Sky, this was his rock band. He did like Toccata. Yeah, there's that drummer. Oh man, I miss that drummer so much. Usually the drummer is like the cool, like kind of edgy looking guy in a band. That is not the case here. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, the guy with the sweater. I think the story with that sweater is that his mom knitted it for him. I mean, is that not freaking sex, drugs, and rock and roll right there? Are you kidding me?
One approach molds students to fit a predetermined ideal. The other treats learning as a journey of discovery with the teacher as a guide. This isn't simply about old versus new teaching styles either. Even a century ago, many teachers were taking different and successful approaches. We make a dangerous assumption in music education, that excellence in playing automatically means excellence in teaching. This belief is so widespread that conservatories often hire based on performance credentials rather than teaching ability. The reality is of course far more complex. What makes someone a brilliant performer? They've developed a deep, intuitive understanding through thousands of practice hours, often with very supportive teachers. But this very mastery can actually hinder their teaching. When you've never had to consciously break down how you achieve something, understanding someone else's struggles becomes nearly impossible. Paradoxically, teachers who faced more challenges in their own development often make better instructors.
Yeah, let's end it on that. That's why I'm such a great teacher, guys. Because I freaking struggled. So with this, I think I'm going to end it here for now. But I just want to tell a little bit of a story. A lot of students that I get, especially younger kids, they come to me and they don't really even know what they want to learn. They just want to learn guitar or something like that. And I always push classical on them just because it's so much easier to study classical or jazz, but I don't teach jazz, so classical is the option with me. There's actually a chance for them to pursue that in academia and like possibly get a scholarship and like a degree, which say what you will about having a college degree, it's a waste of money, waste of time. It's not. You generally make more money. Like it doesn't really matter what your degree is, you're just going to be better off in general. Of course, if you go like $200,000 in debt for it, not so much, but that's why we would hope to get them a scholarship if they're going to be in lessons from when they're a kid, like all the way up to they're 18. If I worried too much about just giving them fun stuff to play, like I want to teach them like rock music and stuff that I think would be fun for them and guide them like in that way, chances of them getting that scholarship and maybe like having, like if they have no other options, like a good life becomes less and less. So I would rather just push them in the direction that I know is going to be best for them, and they will, chances are, thank me later. And even if they don't care about classical at all, having a classical foundation is not going to make you a worse, like whatever kind of music you want to study player. It's going to make you better, I'm sure of it. And with that, music is a very amazing thing, and I've personally seen it like just change people's situations. This is sort of unrelated now, I'm just telling a story now. It's story time with Sore Hands. When I was like 22 or so, 23, I'm 26 right now, or I must have been 22 at this time. I lived with a girl in a city that it had a lot of homeless people in it, and we were there because she worked in a nonprofit that like helped homeless people, and I was just teaching guitar online. This was before YouTube, all that stuff, and I would tag along with her, and I would play in like the church band sometimes, like guitar, and a lot of the band was made up of some of the homeless people that they were helping, and they just happened to play instruments. Like I remember there was a keyboard guy, there was a drum guy, all of the like really good musicians musicians, because some of them were pretty good, or at the very least could do like covers of like popular songs. They sort of had like a show going on. The path that they took from like not being homeless, because I would see them like kind of recover their lives, the path was so much easier for them just because they knew how to play an instrument well. Because it was the people that couldn't play an instrument, the people in the audience, like, I would see what they had to do. They would have to, like, get a job, like a real hard freaking job where they're working, like, 8 to 12 hours a day. And they're in some, like, special program for the job. And, like, I've heard these stories where if they're, like, 1 minute late, they get, like, immediately fired. And so they're just living, like, freaking out. No respect, no nothing. Like, they just, all they have ahead of them is just a life of hard work. And I would see some of these musician guys, like, there was one keyboard guy. He just got a couple of church gigs. He would just play 2 or 3 services a week and then play at a restaurant, like on Fridays, like just playing like covers, like, and he was making more money than these guys that were working. Like enough to have an apartment, like a phone, all this stuff. Like it literally saved him from a really hard life. And now he has, even in like a really desperate situation, with like a little bit of guidance, just like getting the gigs, he's just like fine, you know? Like, it's not like I think that when I teach students where I'm like, oh, you better get good at guitar because you're not going to do anything else with your life. I'm not thinking that, but it is in my mind. It's like, what is going to have the greatest chance to save you if you're in a bad situation? I think classical guitar is a pretty solid option, especially with it being so, like, available in academia to study. And that classical education, it's going to allow you to be able to, like, pursue any kind of guitar that you want to pursue going forward. I don't know, it just makes sense for me to push that. And even if a kid were, like, really into rock music or something and they wanted to learn rock, I would still try to push a classical foundation on them just to expose them to that. Like, I don't expect like complete like stylistic obedience like Segovia I guess did, but still I think it's a mix. You want to try to push them in a direction that you know is like a fantastic direction, and then you also like let them do their own thing. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, like especially when I'm teaching kids like what they want to teach. Teaching adults, this is a different story. Typically any adults that I find like they are already into classical and they seeked me out like through the YouTube channel. I've said countless times like only classical. Don't come for me if you want to learn anything that's not classical, please. And I think they get the memo with that. But yeah, that's my spiel. All right, I think we can wrap this one up here. So anyways, that was a fun one. Go check out the Tone-Based Guitar. Go subscribe to them. Try to get them past Tone-Based Piano at least. I mean, come on, guys. This is not a world that I want to live in. Was Segovia a bad teacher? He taught John Williams, who's like one of the best. I would say probably not. I'm sure he was all right. He's just kind of mean. Maybe I'm just a bootlicker, and once I have an authority figure in my life, I just do whatever they say. Anywho, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. If you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. And hey, want some guitar lessons yourself? Have I said that enough yet? Feel free to check my email in the description for that. Head on down over to Root is Delight, pick yourself up some merch, get your sore hand shirt. There's other t-shirts too, nice, pretty shirts. Check out the podcast that I never post to. Everything else, leave a comment, leave a hate comment about how I'm wrong. I love those. And yeah, all right, well, I'll see you in the next one.